There's a part of all of us, it seems, that would like to be noticed. Sometimes it's as simple as a new haircut or hairstyle or dress. For others of us, it's being noted for sacrifices we made to help something work out or help someone do something or get something done. How hard we've worked or how stressed we are about it all. And when we're not acknowledged for what we've done, some of us just swallow hard and suck it up. Others of us need to be thanked profusely and verbally and with notes of recognition. Some of us need public acclaim. Others of us, just a simple note. But all of us, I think, want, at least in some small way, some recognition. Part of all of us, I think, it seems at least, would like to be noticed. But for some of us, that need to be noticed can be vacuous, even coercive. If we worked tirelessly, then we expect to be tirelessly thanked and publicly acknowledged. Consequently, there are all of these passive-aggressive things we say and do sometimes to some of the people we love most, even the ones we tried to help, so that they see how awesome we are. From asserting that, by the way, was my idea, or I did that, or I started that, or whatever. We get those egos out there in one way or another, it seems. But that's not all bad, I expect, to want that. I guess it's human to want that. But the truth is, our good work cannot depend on people's responses to us. We can't do it so that they thank us. We need to be able to do it because it's the right thing to do, and we want to do the right thing, and that is enough. Whether or not it's noticed even, whether or not anybody notices. I got to tell you, it takes a truly spiritual person, a person who's done their work, to not need to be acclaimed or be recognized or even to be thanked, and be okay even when we're not. Even grateful. Grateful maybe that I have this chance to be humbled. Grateful that because I didn't get it from out there, maybe now the invitation is to do it from the inside out. You know, there's a big difference between appreciating feedback and gratitude and needing feedback or gratitude. Some people truly, literally make their kids or their spouses or their friends or their workplaces or their parishes jump through all sorts of hoops to make sure everybody knows how hard they worked. And I think we all know that something like that, something gets taken away from our gratitude, when we know it's expected of us, when we know it's needed, especially when we think it might be being coerced by this other person. When somebody seems to need it too much from us, something about us tends to pull back, or maybe say it just to keep the peace. And that somehow maybe we're afraid deep down inside we'll be punished emotionally, or they'll go south if we don't. How do I get a little more self-motivated than I am? How do we, you and I, not need to be noticed by people for what we do. In this gospel story this morning, Jesus positions himself across from the temple treasury, where all the commerce of power is taking place. And the rich and the famous of the world are there, and they're putting in millions of their billions of dollars into that temple treasury. And here comes this little one. Here comes this little, humble, hunched over widow. She is one of the little ones of that world, who had no name or no title or no money or no land, just a few pennies to her name. And Jesus notices her. Jesus notices her. Of all of those rich and famous people, Jesus notices her, and he points her out to his disciples, to his friends, and he said, look there. Look at that widow. Notice her. Notice what she's doing. She has nothing, and she's giving even nothing to the temple. That's greatness, he says. Look at her, giving everything just because it's the right thing to do. Nobody's going to see her. Nobody's going to notice her. That's holiness. That's holiness. It's not the amount she put in. It's that she didn't need anybody to acclaim that or anybody to notice that, to do the right thing. That's holiness. Take note, my friends. Nobody noticed her but one. But one. The one who is Jesus of Nazareth. He noticed. He saw her. The one who is God lived among us. God noticed. God noticed. God could not notice a humble, active, generous love, who gave everything and walked away with nobody seeing it because it's the right thing to do, who did not need any thanks or any recognition or any public acknowledgement at all. God sees that. God always sees those unnoticed, hidden acts of generosity and kindness done just because it's the right thing to do. God cannot not see what you are doing when you act humbly and generously, when you're good and with no hooks attached. God sees that. God notices that. Ah, my friends, therein lies our freedom. Because God sees us. We are freed. Knowing God sees us, we are freed from the distractive need to be noticed and thanked for what we do. And we will be free from all the passive, aggressive things we say so that people somehow see how awesome we are. When we trust that God sees this, God notices this, and that is enough. This is a great freedom, and it actually releases us for joy. Trusting that that is enough frees us for joy, frees us for happiness, to take pleasure in what we do because it's the right thing to do for the right reason, and not to somehow have our joy undermined, determined by this need we have to be recognized from others for what we've done and how hard we've worked and how stressed we are and how weary, because we know that God knows. And that's enough. Actually, that's more than enough. The God inside of you, the Spirit in you, the life and the love inside of you dances for joy when you do the right thing and nobody sees it. Dances for joy because you don't need to be affirmed from anybody outside of you, which you can't control anyway. Because you're affirmed from the inside out, that spirit in you dances for joy. The life and love of you and love inside of you join hands and dance because it's coming from the inside. When what you do is good for others, even if they don't have a clue you did it. Even if they don't have a clue you did it. You know, I never really talk much about my family, really. I don't think it's my place to do that, but I have to say it's been on my mind a lot lately. My dad is almost 99. I know. Every time I see him, I say, "Time to go, Dad. You only have one more year of money." And I'm not taking up a second collection for you. But these are the days when he's quieter more, and there's just more and more silence and just holding hands. You know how it is. And I call this the season of savoring. It's just a time to savor him. I've had him to myself, really, for almost 30 years since Mom died, for my brother and I and my nephew and my brother's wife. And so it's the season of savoring, and I have to tell you, I see that widow in this widower named Ralph. I see so much of somebody who lived such a simple life, who never needed to be thanked. I mean, I'm telling the truth. Who always did the right thing, I thought, for the right reason. And one time, a ways back, when I asked him about it, all he said was, "God knows. God knows what I do. Why does anybody else have to know?" Ralph showed me the face of that widow, in his face, the widower. I see it all the time in wives who feed their husbands night after night because they can't feed themselves anymore. And nobody knows, nobody sees them cleaning up the mess. I see it in parents with your kids. Happens all day long if you're at home, mom or dad, and nobody's there to say, "Well, thanks for cleaning that up, honey." I see it in husbands who take care of their wife in the same way, stroking their arms in those ICU units when they're not sleeping. There's nobody there to thank them. It's just what you do, you know? As I walk through my dad's nursing home, I see people, sons and daughters, adults now, just sitting with their mom or dad, even if they're totally incapable of knowing who they are. Just they show up, they'll just keep showing up. Nobody knows, it's just what they did that afternoon. This is an amazing thing. What you're doing, if you're one of them, is awesome. Let me tell you, when your joy is not dependent on other people's response and other people noticing what you've done, you will be truly happy, and it will be a happiness that lasts. You will be joyful just because you're doing good things for good people, for good reasons. And you'll be able to say, "God knows." But I do have a word from the Lord for you this morning. God did ask me to tell you something. God asked me to tell you, thank you. God asked me to tell you that I, God, notice what you said or how you bit your tongue to not say what you wanted to say. I noticed that nobody else noticed it too. I see you. Thank you.